So we wanted to do an informational video on different types of cast, because I partnered up with a high school teacher that wants to do fishing derbies with high school kids. So I might as well explain casting on a video so you guys can all watch it before we get out there and tie a giant knot. Alright, so I fish with mostly bait casting reels, but I do have a spinning rod with me today. So with my spinning rod, I do a few different casts, not too many. One is just a to the side and just cast it out. Get some good distance. The spinning rod, you don't really have much casting distance. One thing I've learned about fishing is you can take a little bit of information from everyone and create your own style. And that's pretty much what everybody does. So you got the overhand cast that every kid learns. You just over your shoulder, cast it out. So with a spinning reel, you can also skip very easily. It's just like skipping a stone. You want the bait to hit the water right in front of you, and it skips across the top of the water. It's great for skipping underneath cover. Another one of the casts that I like to do. I fish from a kayak, so I'm sitting down most of the time. When I'm sitting down, and the shoreline's usually to my right, because I like to land my fish on the right side. So I've kind of developed this like slingshot cast is what I call it. I hold the bait, hook away from your hand. Prep your bail, just like you're gonna cast. Hold the bait, and it slingshots it off to the right hand side. It's pretty good once you get used to it. It's very accurate. Sitting down in a kayak it's kind of challenging to cast. As you noticed, I got a bunch of rods behind me. So I've learned many different ways of casting around these rods. Now, every different bait you're going to want to cast differently. This is a giant crankbait. Hey, I can cast it a mile if I want to. To cast it a mile, you kind of want to do like a lob cast. So your rod comes back low, ends up going out high. So both hands, rod comes out high. If you notice that this hand just touched the rod just to give it that little extra pressure. The rods will do most of the work, 90% of the time. You don't have to sling it with everything you have. I mean, that bait just went 50 yards. It's gonna take forever for me to get it back. So generally, when I'm casting a big bait, that's the cast I'm gonna use. It's very accurate. Come off to the side, let it go out, and it just sails. Just now hit the water, so it goes. Very, very good for long casts. Now once I get it back in, I'll show you a different set of casting. Oh, that's a fish. No, he let go. Damn it. That was a pike. It'd be great if I caught a fish on the video trying to explain to you guys how to catch. One of my favorite ways of fishing is with a jig. Right now I have a very small jig. It's called a Bitsy jig. Bitsy bug by Strike King. But there's so many different ways of casting this bait. So many. When you're fishing up shallow, the fish are real spooking very easy because they can see you. I just use a little flip cast or a pitch, and the bait just barely hits the water. Nice, slow little splash. But when you're fishing for shore, which most of you guys are going to be doing, the roll cast, you want to take your bait, bring it out to the side, roll the bait around the tip of the pole, and as it comes out, just like you were on a swing set, let it go. That will also, it gets a little more distance than the pitch, but also doesn't splash the water very hard. Now, of course, you can use the regular launch cast, we'll call it, and it works just as well. But mainly with a jig, you're going to want to be real quiet, fishing real close to you. A little slingshot cast. Normally when I'm fishing a jig, I'm fishing in structure. And I'll loosen your brake up a little bit. You want to keep the bait pretty much even with the reel. Hold the bait, hook away from you, and pendulum your rod. And that's a pitch. Pitch, flip, whatever you guys want to call it. I call it a pitch. Just pitch it away. And that's the cast that you really want to practice in your yard. Set up some 5-gallon buckets and pitch it into the 5-gallon buckets. Alright. I'm floating off of my spot because I stood up and the wind blew a little bit. Luckily enough, I floated right over some fish, which was pretty cool. So I'll back up, see if we can't